Hello, everyone, and happy Financially Lit Tuesday! Back at it again every Tuesday at 6:30 p.m., bringing you news, tips, and tricks on how to wealth up. So, for those of you that are tuned in, go ahead and hit the like, the love, the share button, because we definitely don't want to hold all this good, wealthy information to ourselves. We want to make sure that our friends and families get the info, get the to know, all the information so that they can wealth up with us. Wealthing up is a journey. So why not have your compadres and loving ones on the journey with you? So today, and for those of you tuning in from YouTube, go ahead and hit the subscribe button and the notification bell so that you don't miss another Financial Lit Tuesday. All right. So today we have an amazing, awesome special guest, the woman behind how I got my home, right? Between my realtor, my loan originator, you've meeting my whole team out here. But today I have Rachel Broadwell with me. She's gonna go ahead and give us some awesome, wonderful information. Hey, Rachel.
Hey, Wileen. Thank you so much for having me.
No problem. So Rachel, I'm gonna let her introduce herself, but she's a senior mortgage loan originator, and she has tons of experience. Super awesome. I'm gonna give the floor over to you, Rachel.
Hello, I'm Rachel Broadwell with Cardinal Financial. I'm a loan originator, and I'm the girl if you need to buy a house.
Yes. So she's super seasoned. I know that when I purchased my home, you were on. Did Envoy change their name or
No,
is that a new company?
no, I transitioned in January. Yeah,
Okay.
I was with Envoy. I've been in the business for a long time, probably about 20 years or more. Telling my age, but yeah, so I do come with a wealth of knowledge. I've been in originations, I've been all through the back end processing, underwriting, closing, so I know every part of the beginning of the mortgage process or stages.
Wow, that is over 20 years. Yo, that is definitely a whole lot of experience and knowledge and gems that are going to be dropped down with you today. So we have this wonderful woman with over 20 years of experience. For those of you that are tuned in, go ahead and drop a comment. Let me know who's tuned in with us. Say hey. Say hey to Rachel. And then we're going to go ahead and get started and with these tips. So we're going to go over the home buying process, qualifications. Really, if you're looking to buy a home now or in the future, even if you're looking for maybe getting a home for investment reasons, whatever the case may be, you definitely want to be in the know. So that's why I made sure that I brought Rachel onto the podcast today so that she could bring over some knowledge. So we're gonna go ahead and get started with, what's that first step of going about purchasing a home, Rachel?
So the first step would be to get pre-qualified. So you would reach out to me and do an application either online or over the phone, whichever you prefer. But that would be the first step because then I could review all your income, all your assets, your credit, and that would kind of let you know where you stand. If you need any type of credit repair or if you need anything like that, it kind of just shines light on what your if you're ready now or how long it's going to take for you to be ready. So that's basically your first step.
Gotcha. And I like to add there too. I mean, yes, making that initial decision to say, all right, I'm ready to purchase a home, or I'm thinking about purchasing a home. Like making sure that you're actually speaking to the right people to know what you need. Because everyone has a general idea. Okay, I need good credit. I need some funds, maybe for even a down payment. But actually, the nitty gritty, the checklist of what you're going to need to make sure that you get into that home. So don't wait until, oh shoot, I'm looking at a house and this house is beautiful, and then you're like, shoot, would I even qualify for it? Because it may not even be on the market by the time you get all your ducks in a row to even purchase that home.
So true.
Right, right. So how many times have you seen that where the person had a home and they're ready to they're like, oh my gosh, I want this, and they weren't able to get into it.
A lot of times you'd be really surprised how people don't plan for it. They see a house and they're like, I want to buy a house, but then they have no idea where they stand. They don't know what their credit is. They don't know they need to save money, or at least have a down payment for the house. They don't
Right,
know, and they're like in love with the house, and that's what motivates them to do the application. But then when they do the application, they're not ready, and they may not be ready for 3 to 6 months.
wow,
So yeah, I see it
wow,
all the time.
that's big. That's big. To find out that's the hurt. You get there and
Heartbreaking.
you're like, ooh, I got my house. This is the one for me.
Yeah.
Like, yeah,
Yes. And a lot of people do. They jump and they want to go view homes, but then they don't even know where they stand financially. So it's
right.
it's like I feel like uh, talking to a mortgage professional is your first step before you even view homes, because you don't want to get your hopes up, and that may not be what you qualify for. So
Right. Hey, Floyd. So Floyd, he's actually in the market. He's searching for a home, and either sometime this year, I believe he's looking to get into a home as well. So he's in that, and he's like, "Yeah,
true
sure
story.
thing." Like, hey, Floyd, nice for you to tune in. So yeah. All right. So, what would you say is like the next step? So now they found you. They went to Rachel and they're like, Rachel, look, what do I need? And then you gave them a checklist. You said, pop, pop, pop. This is what it is. What are they looking at next?
So if they're ready, then they could get connected with an agent and they start looking for a house. If they're not ready, they follow the checklist. And um, credit's good for 120 days. So if it's not a credit issue and it's more like a down payment issue or something like that, they can always come back and they won't have to rerun their credit if it's less than 120 days, which is like 4 months. But really, there's a lot of different, like, there's a lot of moving parts. But normally, if they're like, okay, I'm focused, I want to get this house, it could take anywhere from a month to 3 months. But if they are ready, then they go look for a house and they start putting offers in.
So, what is the time frame from say the person's ready to when they're actually at the closing table? Generally.
So typically, 30 days is the normal close time. A lot of time, like
Hmm.
during this market, we're trying to make offers more appealing to the seller. So we'll say, okay, we can do a 20 day closing. But so in order to do that, honestly, in order to do that, when you do get pre-qualified and the lenders, I'm like, okay, you're pre-qualified, but I need this, all these documents, because and you don't even have that house you've chose, but you want to get your income and assets reviewed by underwriting. You want to get an actual pre-approval, not a pre-qualification letter, an actual conditional commitment letter from an underwriter. Because when an agent brings that
Hmm.
commitment letter to another agent, and like, okay, this is with my offer, it's been underwritten, the underwriters looked at income, assets. Normally, there's no more borrower conditions. Normally we just need the contract, the appraisal, any inspections that need to be done, because everything with the borrower's credit and income and assets has been kind of taken care of on the front end. So then it allows like a lot smoother and more timely closing from start to finish. But so typically 30 days once they find the house. Yeah.
So looking at 30 days, and that's something new that I didn't know that the credit is good for 4 months at 120 days.
Yep.
So that's interesting. So for those of you out there that are worried about, oh shit, I'm not ready now, and I got to take another hard pull on my credit again, like
Yeah.
that's definitely something interesting to know. Cool.
So another thing about the credit pool, a lot of times, the different type of credit has different type of credit scores. So like you could go
Mhm.
on credit Karma and look at your credit, and it may be in the 700s. I may pull your credit, and you may be in the mid sixes,
Right.
because we use different scoring models. So
Right.
you don't really truly know your mortgage credit until it's actually pulled.
So, oh, we got a question. Floyd said, "What's the difference between pre-qualified and the other thing you said, pre something? Is
Okay.
that precondition
Yeah.
or what is it?"
Well, so pre-qualified is like you fill out an application, you put all of your information in there, but I don't look at any of your income or asset statements. I'm just going based upon what you put in the application, and based upon that, we've your debt ratios look fine. It looks like you have assets. That's pre-qualified.
Okay.
Pre-approved and pre-approved by underwriting with a conditional commitment letter. That's when you send all of your documents to me. Your pay stubs, W-2s, bank statements. If you're self-employed, your tax returns. And then I would submit that to the underwriter, and the underwriter would review all of those documents, and then you would get a what's called to be determined property commitment letter. So that's the difference. And honestly, I said, like, I really try to stress to people, like, get a underwritten, pre-approval, because it's so much stronger in this market to have that.
Right. Does
I mean,
that like help with shortening the time frame as far as making sure
yes.
you're
Yes. Yep. So then if that's been done, and you want to make your offer more appealing to a seller, you could say, hey, offer a 20-day close. And really the only thing that we should be waiting on is, like I said, the inspections and the appraisal and any like internal stuff that the lender needs to do, but it should be able to close timely that way.
gotcha, gotcha. I know that you spoke about how if you're self-employed, you would need to, present those tax returns as well. What cases do you have where you need the business's return as well? I had a client that said, "Hey, they need my S corp tax return as well, not just my personal return." So, how often do you see that, and why? What's the reasoning for that?
So we always need it. If they own more than 25% of the business, we have to see business returns.
Hmm,
So that's why, and it's quite often, because most people own more than 25% of the business. They normally own 100% or fifty
right.
percent.
Hmm.
So yeah. But it's because we just need to make sure that they're not taking a huge loss on the business side. We can use some of that business income and their personal, but um, that's the reason why.
Right. Okay. Another question. Yasha said, "What sets you apart from other loan officers?"
I care. I try to really, like, walk people through the process, and I do try to do the underwriting up front, and um, I have passion for helping people. That's really, it's not just you're not just a number. You're an actual person and a family, and I want to get you to the final step, in the house.
Right, right.
Also, also, I fear telling a client that they can't close the day before closing. So,
Oh
so I have
yeah,
to stay really proactive up front.
gotcha. Yeah, I know. My experience with Rachel. I originally was going with another loan originator, and it was just the process was just not transparent enough for me. And I'm a numbers girl, if y'all haven't noticed, right? So I'm looking at this stuff, and I'm like, where's the other half? Like, what's going on here? I don't get it. It's not making sense. And and then we found Rachel, and she broke everything down to me. She answered all my questions. Actually taught me and educated me on the process as we were going through it, and she made it seamlessly, like extremely easy. It was really effortless. I gave her all my paperwork, and the next thing you know, I was getting to my house, right? So she did make it a lot, a lot less stressful. Going through the underwriting process, it was really honestly a super smooth transition from, hey, give me your documents. Oh, here they are. And then, all right, I'm going to push it through. I may need one other thing, but it was really quick.
Yeah, transparency is I feel super important because that's like, I mean, purchasing a house is one of the most largest, transactions you'll do in your life,
Right.
and you have to be transparent. And I feel like the more people understand the process, I tell people all the time, like if I know it's going to be, a lot of moving parts, and I'm like, hey, this may not be easy, but we'll get through it. I try to prepare them up front. Like, yeah, they may want, more stuff than what you're used to, what you think they should need, but we'll
Right.
get it, and we'll get you into your home, and we'll get the keys. So
All right. And she said, what if you own multiple businesses? Can you use multiple businesses as a part of your income?
you can, as long as you've owned them and you have at least 2 years tax returns on them. Yes, you can.
So, back to that other question, as far as you saying, what if that this person owns five different businesses, owns more than 25% of all of them?
Hmm.
Do the underwriter want tax returns for all the businesses, or they're like, oh, okay, we'll look at a couple, and then if your income suffice, we'll
Well,
move on.
so if they're separate business, so what I like to do is I like, less is more to me.
Mm.
If you qualify with less income, then we'll provide less income. Unless there's like somewhere in those other returns that, it shows another business or something like that, then, of course we'll have, the underwriter will want that. But if it's separate, everything, then we'll just use what it's going to take for you to get qualified.
Gotcha.
And a lot of times it's the same with like W 2 people. Like I just had one today. She owns a business on the side and she's W 2. But on her, as you know, Schedule C, profit and loss, runs straight through you. There's no business that runs straight through you.
Right.
And so she had losses there. And I was explaining to her, I'm like, we're just going to use your W 2 income, because if I show the underwriter this tax return, they're going to hit you for all of this loss through, from your W 2 income. And then you're not going to qualify for as much as you would if we just use that. So it just depends. I mean, everyone's different, but yes, Yasha, you can use multiple businesses for income as long as you have 2 full years of tax return.
Let's see. Cool. Oh, I thought someone was saying Susie to you.
Sorry.
All right, cool. So as far as everything that's moving, how the effects of the interest rates and everything like that, and what are we looking like as far as where we're at right now, and maybe even in the future, as far as interest rates and getting approved for a favorable interest rate on the home.
So interest rates are very low right now. I mean, we never really know like how, if it's going to stay low, or, how the market's going to shift. It's kind of, unpredictable. But I think as long as there's low inventory, the rates will stay low.
Right, true.
But I mean, that's a great question. But it we just don't know. I mean, when COVID first hit last year, when we got put on lockdown, um, I seen rates change like 20 times in one day. Like we were at a point where we couldn't even lock rates in because they just didn't know what the market was going to do. So it was very interesting to see. I've never seen that in ever in my life. It was a very interesting time, and they started implementing some new overlays. It was a pandemic, so the lenders were investors were like, wait a minute, just they didn't know, the market was just crazy. Like this happened for like probably a full week, to where they were like, yep, you can't, sorry, we can't lock rates. So I guess it just depends on how the market continues to, move forward.
Right, I could see that.
But right now, I think if you're already in a house and you have more than like a 3.5%, um, or whatever. There's plenty of equity if you've bought your house in the past couple of years. I really encourage people refinance now while the rates are low, um, because, like I said, we don't know how they're going to shift. They could be, higher. I don't think they're going to go much higher than what they are right now if they do increase, but I mean, I would definitely take advantage of it right now.
Absolutely. Cool. So, my next question is, as far as how much should they be looking at as far as putting down on a home, their down payment? What is a good rule of thumb to keep in mind?
So, minimum like 3.5% is a good rule of thumb for a primary residence. Now, if you're looking at investment properties, you're gonna want at least 15% down. Yeah.
Gotcha. And the other question, as far as how much income relative to the property that they're wanting to get into, how much income should be like a good ratio rule of thumb?
So it depends on the program. Conventional Fannie and Freddie products, conventional mortgages, they're more conservative with their debt ratios. They normally want you to be a 23% in the housing ratio. So that's the principal and interest, your taxes, your insurance, any HOAs, any mortgage insurance. They want that to be about 23% of your debt to income ratio. So the back end, they really don't like to see like over like 46%. That's with your full mortgage payment with all of the inclusion, everything I just said, and then your other debts, like your car payment,
Right.
credit cards. But it's only debts that are on your credit report. I get a lot of times I get people that are like, "Oh, well, my insurance is this, we don't count that. If it's not on your credit, it's not counted in your ratios."
Gotcha. All right. As you said, are there first time homebuyer programs available?
There are first time home buyer programs available. They will not cut they're not covering everything right now. They're not covering your down payment and closing costs, but it can definitely help you with the down payment, but you'll still have to cover those closing costs. So you're still want to at least have 4% set aside, if you want to buy a house, as opposed to like what 7.5%, that you want, that if there was no down payment programs available. But yeah, there is. And there's one called Chinoa, and it's a FHA product. It gives you 3.5% for your down payment, and it's forgivable after 3 years. So there's a lot of programs out there that the down payment program, it's not forgivable. It stays on for the life of the loan. So if you ever refinance or sell, you're required to pay the money back. I so I have a special friend that always says, "Pay now or pay later."
Wait, that's intense. All right, cool, cool. Um, so we got as far as our steps are concerned, reaching out to your loan originator, getting the steps, the details as far as what you're needing to move forward. You're then reaching out to your realtor, real estate agent, and then you find the property. They come back to you, go through underwriting, and what's the next step after that?
So, so once they go to underwriting, everything's reviewed. If we haven't had the pre-approval done, um, what will be next is the processor. So my processor would reach out to you and say, "Hey, underwriter has a question about this, this, and this." And you would send the documents that we needed, and we would order the appraisal. As soon as you go under contract, we're trying to order the appraisal that day. As soon as you sign disclosures, typically we have the appraisal fee paid up front. It's like anywhere from 500 to 550, depending on the program. So we have you pay that up front. We order that like the same day we're disclosing, because appraisers are taking they're taking a while, because everyone, there's a lot of people buying. They're backed up. So We'll wait on the appraisal. We'll clear all the conditions that the underwriter may have. Once that's done, we set your closing date once you're cleared to close.
So it's a closing
It's,
day. Ooh, victory day.
it sounds super easy. It is super easy you if if you follow instructions. If you just
Mm.
send exactly what's on the list, normally it's done quickly. So
All right. And now on closing day, what does that look like for them?
Okay, so closing day typically, and I'm going to be honest, if we're doing a 30-day close or a 20-day close, you probably won't know what you're bringing to closing until maybe even the morning of closing, like your exact funds for closing. So I'll normally reach out and say, hey, wire, this amount to the closing, to the title company. Normally the day before or that morning, you'll wire your closing costs and whatever your down payment, whatever your cash to close is, you'll wire to the title company. You'll go to the title company and you'll sign a bunch of documents.
Yeah.
But when you're finished, you get your keys and you have your house and you skip a mortgage payment for 1 month. So if you
Right.
close in September, you don't you won't make a payment in October. Your first payment will be due in November. So that's always fun.
Right, that is, it is. That nice transitionary period.
Yeah.
And I sure do remember all those papers.
Yes.
And apparently my stack was not that large compared to most people, and I was like, "What?"
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm like, they expect people to like really, yeah. It's
It's a lot.
it's a lot
Be
of
prepared to have
papers.
cramps.
I'm like, again, yeah. It's definitely interesting, and it's an exciting experience as well. And after you get a key, you're like, okay, what do I do now?
Right. Now it's time to decorate.
Right. Here comes the moving part and decorating and more expenses.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, exactly.
but all right, just to do a quick overview of what we chat here today. If you could do like a quick like bullet through some things to take away, keep in mind as they're going through the home buying process.
Okay.
Rachel.
Okay, so first thing, get in touch with me, get pre-qualified, or get an action plan to set up what you need to do to purchase a home. Once that's done, then you'll reach out to a realtor. You'll start looking at houses, and once you hold on, back up. Once you get the action plan, if you get the pre-qualification letter, you want to get all the documents together and then start looking for a house. Once you find the house, you fulfill all the conditions from the underwriter, pay for the appraisal, and then you go to closing day. Keep in mind the minimum credit score that's required is a 580, and that's for FHA. But if you're looking to do down payment assistance, you at least want a 620 credit score. So that I just kind of wanted to throw that out there.
Mhm.
Um, so I would just say, honestly, if you're preparing to buy a house, save your money and don't don't take credit out. Try to just pay your bills on time. But definitely, if you don't know where you're at, I would reach out to a mortgage professional. Myself, I'm always here to help, and see where you need to be.
Okay, cool. Thank you all for joining us for another episode of Financially Lit Tuesday. Rachel's gonna give you some more details on how you can get a hold of her. Thank you, Rachel, for coming on to Financially Lit as well. Thank you,
Thank you.
Yasha. Yes. So how do they get in touch with you?
Okay, so my phone number is 904-418-3779. The best thing to do is probably text me, and then I'll communicate through text, and I can always share my application link, if that's what you're looking to do, just to kind of see where you are or get pre-qualified. But that is the best way to reach me is my cell phone.
Okay. Oh, could you say your number one more time?
Oh, 904-418-3779.
All right, y'all. So go ahead and give Rachel a text And for anyone that you may know, looking to purchase a home, or even looking to see if what their next steps are. Like Rachel said, you definitely want to make sure that you reach out to a loan originator like herself before you even start looking for homes, so you can make sure you have all your ducks in a row, and making the process a lot more fluid and stressless. So thank you all for joining me for another episode of Financially Lit Tuesday. Tune in every Tuesday at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And go ahead and subscribe to the Sipping Wealth YouTube channel, and hit the notification bell so that you don't miss another Financially Lit. Next week is my birthday. Woo! So we're going to do a special Financially Lit Tuesday right before my birthday, talking about vacation, spending, and saving, because I'm going on vacation. And
Yay.
why not put in vacation spending and birthday fun, mix it all together. So that's what we'll be talking about next week. So be sure to tune in. And see you all next Tuesday.
Hi, thank you, Eileen.
Thank you, Rachel. Thank you.